All right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2007 Nissan 350z NISMO. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. If you'd like to read more of my thoughts, head on over to carmarshal.com/overdrive. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6. Now, this is the HR. So in 2007, the NISMO, as well as the other 350Zs, were given the HR. So there's two different motors that were offered in the 350Z, the DE and the HR. HR stands for high revving. So this is the more desirable engine that you want in a 350Z. And I have to say, this is the more desirable 350Z as it is, and we'll talk about that later on. But it is a 3.5 liter, it's a VQ, and I like it a lot. It revs to 7,500 RPM, and the biggest thing about it is just straight up, it's just the torque. This car makes great torque down low, which is what's missing from a lot of this car's competitors. Let's take a look at a couple competitors in my mind from this era. Subaru WRX, Mazda RX-8. We all know rotaries don't make any torque. And the WRX was a 4-cylinder turbo, which made similar power numbers, but it's still a 4-cylinder when it's out of boost. This gives you the full 6 cylinders all the time, and you really feel it down low. That's why I really like these cars, and that's why a lot of people drift these cars, is because they have that low-end torque. You don't need to rev the absolute crap out of it in order to get it to do stuff. So we're gonna do a little second gear pull here in a second. But before I do so, just to be clear, this actually surprisingly has all factory parts besides the radio, which we'll talk about later. But that means this is the factory exhaust, which is rare to find on a VQ engine. But this is the actual factory exhaust. So what you're hearing is what you would hear the day it rolled off of the assembly line. All right, so second gear. Oh man, it just pulls so well. I love driving VQ engines. They get a lot of crap, but they're so much fun. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. Nothing too crazy here. It is nice that it comes with a 6-speed. It's really notchy and the clutch is not heavy at all. I love the clutch feel. I love the shifter feel. And just together, it really makes a good combo. It's nice and notchy, it's nice and tight, there's no slop. Even though this does have 41,000 miles on it, there's no slop at all, and I love it. That being said, also with the V6, like I said, it has that a little bit extra torque than your 4-cylinder or rotary car. Getting it into gear is super easy. If you're going to learn manual, a 350Z is a great car to learn on. Last but not least about the drivetrain, the NISMO is rear-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me I have 3 gauges that sort of look like they're just kind of glued onto the dashboard. They kind of come up off the dashboard. But in the center, I have my center-mounted tachometer, which says NISMO. This is a NISMO-specific gauge, and I absolutely love it. I love center-mounted tachometers. I think it makes the car feel a lot sportier, and this being a NISMO, it is. On the left, I have my fuel and coolant, and on the right, I have my speedometer and my odometer. On the steering wheel, I do have controls for the radio on the left and my cruise control on the right. To the left of me, all I have is a traction control button and then a blank switch, which the NISMO, being the top dog, has a blank switch. I'm going to assume that this is for the sunroof and this just doesn't have it. But again, I don't like blank switches in top tier cars. If I'm gonna pay a big price, I don't want it to look like I'm missing out. On the door, I do have my window switches, as well as child locks, lock and unlock, and my mirror switches. This is where we get to the first part that I don't like about the 350Z, is that these plastics have not held up well over the last 12 years. Now granted, it is 12 years. When this car came out, I was in 3rd grade. And some say I haven't fared as well as these plastics. But that is something to look out for, is a lot of the plastics in here are somewhat scratched just from over time. It's not like this car was ever used and abused. This was actually purchased off of an older gentleman that really only drove it on the weekends. Up on the dash, I have a couple different gauges. I actually have my miles till empty, oil pressure, and voltage meter. So, of course, I missed something very, very cool on the initial driving review. So you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, it says 2700. You can set a shift light using that gauge. You hit this button right here. My camera will focus on it right here. And then you change it with this. So, once you rev, gives you that little light to warn you. Then down below those gauges, I actually get a giant cubby hole in the dashboard. This is a storage bin, I guess. And all 350Zs have this. It's kind of an interesting placement. I don't know that it's 100% necessary, but it is nice to have some extra storage in the car. Then I have a radio that has since been changed out because 2000s radios still weren't quite up to par with what they are today. There wasn't any Bluetooth. Barely any of them had aux cords. And so this has been switched out with a JVC unit that has Apple CarPlay, which just makes the car feel a lot more modern. But that is not a factory part. Then I have my air conditioning controls, very, very basic here, and then my hazard button. Then we come to the shifter. This is the stock NISMO shifter. I really like the feel of it. It almost feels weighted. I'm not quite sure if it is, but it feels like it has a good weight to it. Makes the throw real nice and easy, and I like it overall. Now down below the shifter, we do have a special plaque, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll come back to that. The seats are nice and comfortable. They do have red inserts in the middle, which I really like. Sort of helps out with that NISMO coolness. But they do have high bolsters, and being a bigger guy, I always mention that it's hard to find high bolstered seats that I actually fit in properly, and these I actually do. I really like them a lot. They're a lot better than these stock 350Z seats. And unfortunately, in the Z, there are no back seats, so we can't do a back seat review. So let's get back to that plaque that I skipped over on the center console. Well, this is a NISMO, and in 2007, 1,607 cars were made. 1,607 NISMOs were made. And so on the center console, they give you what production number your car was. And so we look on the center console, this car, number 6. This was the 6th 350Z NISMO made. And as the legend has it, this was the first ever red 350Z NISMO from 2007. That is pretty cool. And I love the fact that they put a badge in the center of what serial number you have. I love cars with serial numbers, special edition cars. If anyone watching has a 350Z NISMO, please leave your number down below. I'm really genuinely curious to see if there are other ones out there. But speaking of that, the reason why I brought that up at the end is because a big part of the NISMO package is the looks. So let's talk about the looks. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a red 350Z NISMO. I like the color a lot. I love the color with the wheels. I think it's a really good look. But this is where we are going to start to get some controversy with the 350Z. Does the factory body kit look good? I personally only like the body kit because it's rare and because I know that so few of these cars were made. But if this was a factory option and nothing else was special about it, I personally wouldn't do the front bumper, rear bumper, or wing. Not my personal taste. Please leave a comment down below if this is factory rice or factory nice, because honestly, I'm personally kind of torn. I kind of like it, but in a 2007 Too Fast, Too Furious sort of way. But overall, I think the car works together. I think the large fin, the big diffuser, and the front bumper, at least they all work together. They look good, they look congruent, and you know what? Sometimes that's what really makes or breaks a car. But overall, I have to say I am a big fan of the 350Z NISMO. I really do like the engine. A lot of people give the VQ engines crap for sounding like trumpets. And yeah, straight pipes, they do sound not good. But they're a lot of fun to drive. And driving something so special as this, especially number 6, 0006, the first red NISMO, that's pretty special. And honestly, that's why I was so excited to do this review, is because people always ask me, like, what's the coolest car you've ever driven. I actually got asked this yesterday. What's the coolest car you've ever driven? And I'm sure what they're expecting me to say is the Nissan GTR or the Audi R8. Let me name drop a couple more cars. They expect something big and grand like that. But honestly, it's cars like this that I find the coolest. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the 2007 Nissan 350z NISMO. Huge thank you to David for letting me do this review. I know I've been bothering him a lot to let me film this, and I'm finally glad we worked out a time to do so. And this car is absolutely cool. If you guys have a NISMO or have owned a NISMO in the past, please leave your number in the comments. I'm interested to see if any of my viewers have one of these, and maybe we'll find the sister car. Maybe we'll find number 7 or number 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.
There goes a sight from my soul.